call the meeting of Howell Township Council to order. Opening statement, please.
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided in the manner prescribed by law. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Nadell? Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Here.
Mayor Leggio?
Here.
Thank you.
Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. A moment of prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to reports of township officials. Mr. Clark.
All right, I have an update. So this week, Mayor Leggio, Brian Greenfield, our DPW director, Matt Howard, and I met with an amazing young lady and her mom, Riley Risden. Riley is in 8th grade at Middle School South. She's working on her Girl Scout Silver Award project. The crux of the project is that she wants to spread awareness about childhood cancer within the community. It's an issue that's very personal to her because she is a childhood cancer survivor and she's currently 1 year cancer free. So we met with her. She's a tough person, real warrior. She's got a lion heart. So we made her the project manager for this, and we're going to work with her to help spread childhood cancer awareness in the following ways. Sunday, July 13th from 11 to 3 p.m. at the Southern Fire Department, there's going to be a community event. Local childhood cancer foundations will be present. They're going to share information about what they do for kids battling cancer and for the families of those kids. She's gathering a wish list from the foundations, which when we get, we'll make public, to accept donations from the community and local business to assist the kids and their families. She's designed a challenge coin with the help of Copper Gear to sell as a fundraiser, which shows the support of our local heroes, fire, police, EMS. The funds from this fundraiser will go to purchase items on the foundation's wish lists as well. In addition, there's going to be a bloodmobile present to take donations, and there will be the National Marrow Donor Program there. They'll provide people with a swab so you will know if you're a marrow donor and you'll be on their list to help kids. Finally, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so we're working with Riley to place gold bows around Howell as a show of support for our local kids that are fighting, have fought, will fight, or have sadly lost the fight to childhood cancer. We're going to have a lot of reminders going out before the events, and as September approaches, we're going to have our leader Riley in here for a council meeting to give us more information about what everybody can do to participate in Gold September. So that is my update for this evening.
Mr. Howard.
Just a couple quick ones. There's a couple resolutions on for that are related to some funding for Echo Lake, the playground. We're working out the details of the grant. We've secured the grant. It's in our capable hands of Justin Yost, the township engineer, who's going to start designing. We're going to meet with the family that previously had a piece of that playground dedicated, and we're going to start to put some plans together so that we can bring that inclusive playground at Echo Lake into being. Also, there's a couple of resolutions, or one resolution on, it's no secret, this council's been looking at ways to revitalize our commercial corridors. Last year and the previous year, we did an area in need of redevelopment study on Route 9, a section of Route 9 South, and we're continuing those studies for the rest of the Route 9, Route 33 corridor. We're authorizing our planner to go forward with those studies, find what properties qualify for an area in need of redevelopment, and then we're going to see if we can find some ways, some creative zoning to revitalize, and bring forward those corridors into much more usable destinations that'll serve the area and the residents of Howell. That's all I have.
Council? Okay. Moving on to hearing of citizens, public comments.
Excuse me, we have a council update from Mr. Bryce from JCP&L.
I'm sorry about, see that? This whole thing is like a,
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the time this evening. I'd like to talk to you about one issue that's coming up regarding the bills that customers are going to be seeing in June, but then also address some other issues in Howell. First, I'd like to give you an update. There's been a lot of work done, reliability work done in Howell over the last 6 months to a year. Last year, Jersey Central Power and Light identified certain reliability circuits that needed repairs. One of the top ones in the state was the circuit out of the Howell substation up off Howell Road. We've done about $1.5 million worth of work on that circuit. A lot of people have seen the traffic work through the fall and early winter. That's now complete and up and running. In addition to that substation, we identified that there's been a lot of incidents of animal intrusion within there. We spent several $100,000 on all sorts of animal guards for that substation. So we're starting to see a lot of improvements in that area as well. The other topic that we've been working on is some streetlights with Mr. Clark. We got a list. I think that list was completed back probably March. We ended up receiving the full list of about 400 lights. I think 394 is the exact amount. As of the other day, we've made about 320 repairs on those lights. There's all sorts of different types of repairs that could be made. The most common repair being a bulb or photocell. That's most of the repairs we've made. The other ones are complete head replacements, that when a head is just, the mechanism within it is no longer serviceable and it won't accept the bulb, we just replace a whole head. And the third type of repair involves underground lights, where it's fed underground. That's typically some sort of fault or break in the wire. That's a more intricate type of repair. We could have to go ahead and have a third-party vendor come in and assist us with those repairs. But right now, the remaining 60 are probably all head replacements. Our contractor was going so fast, he ran out of material. So we have other heads on order right now. We should have those in shortly to complete those repairs. Then the other issue I'd like to go ahead and talk to you about right now is with the bills that residents will start to see. The first thing we want residents to do is just kind of, the bill, we want them to understand how to decipher the bill and what it means. The first thing people have to understand is there's two mechanisms to that bill. Back in 1999, after deregulation, Jersey Central Power and Light is no longer a generation company. We are simply a distribution company. We distribute the power, we deliver it to the homes. The generation, customers either have the option to go get a third-party supplier, or if they don't, the default comes from what's called the BGS, the Basic Generation Service. That's an annual wholesale auction held by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. The entity that supplies that power to them is an entity called PJM, stands originally for Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland. It's a 100-year-old company and now has a lot more states than Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Maryland. It has 13 states and the District of Columbia. It represents about 65 million people in the central United States. It's the largest grid operator within the United States. This year, the wholesale auction went from roughly a price of $25 a kilowatt hour to $250 a kilowatt hour. So that what's resulting in that is the state, the Board of Public Utilities, can't reject the bid. They simply have to go ahead and approve it if it's consistent with market trends. And that, unfortunately, is consistent with market trends throughout the country. Pennsylvania, Maryland, and West Virginia all had similar results in their auctions. But on the bill, customers can look and see, the first charge they see is the JCP&L charge. That's the delivery charge. That's what we charge to get it there. The other charge is the supplier charge. So either it's the third party, if residents have a third party, or it's the default BGS charge. Thank you. So what's been happening with rates the last couple of years? So the only increase that JCP&L had in our rates prior to the last 4 years was last year in June 1st, 2024. We hadn't had an increase in 4 years. We went before the Board of Public Utilities for a rate case hearing, and we got 3.6% increase. That kicked in last June 1st. In addition to that was the first rate hike through the basic generation charge. That was also June 1st, and that was an 8.7. So it meshed with our charge to combine a charge of over 11% for people. This year, that's going to be a much larger basic generation cost that's being put onto the bills. It's going to be 19.9%. Again, this is a pass-through. JCP&L doesn't collect any of this money. It's simply passed right through to PJM to go to the generation companies. There's, again, a lot of factors at play, but if the bills are going up, we want residents to also understand, we want you to watch your consumption and make sure there's nothing else at play affecting what your consumption is. And you're able to compare it on that lower left section of the bill. It tells you how much you use each month, and then it gives you the comparison and average uses down below. Now, we've recently converted all to smart meters. And one of the benefits of a smart meter, again, here, is the fact that for this comparison's sake, that smart meter, you don't have to have somebody come out and read. It's basically the same period that it's read all the time, 30 or 31 days. And to compare it, you're able to compare it. When people were reading meters, they couldn't get out because of weather or something along those effects. So you could have a 27-day period 1 month for your meter and a 34-day read period the next. So you weren't really able to compare month to month. This is much better for that sake, to be able to compare. And that's what you'll see in the middle there. It says A, E, and C. Actual read, estimated read, and customer read. You're basically going to see actual reads nowadays because of the smart meters. Thank you. So in addition, a couple other things happened. This was the coldest start of the winter in years, in more than 6 years. Total residential consumption was up 8.4% between 23 and 24. The split here between non-electric heat customers and electric heat customers, we like to break that down because heat customers have a much larger percentage increase from 5 to 11%. At the same time, customers are using more energy. The electricity price has risen. Again, that 8.6% from the supply rate that I spoke about, and the 3.6 from our increase. And the impacts of increased rates overall for non-electric heat customers was 21.1%, and a heat customer 28.5%. So again, just to touch on smart meters, again, with the arrival of smart meters, a lot of the installs taking place last year, a lot of people believed that there was a correlation between the smart meter installation and the rise of their increase in their bills. That wasn't. It was due to the factors I just explained to you. The basic generation cost, our 3.6% increase, and then just the weather playing a hand in that as well. Again, smart meters, since they've been put into effect, we've seen a lot of benefits. Some of them I just explained to you, but other ones, during a storm, we are able to use them for our restoration efforts. It used to be, let's just say we have 2,000 people out. We make restoration. There was a lot of hanging orders out there. We call them single no lights. We used to have to send trucks out to verify that each one of those customers was up. Most of them are up, but some of them are down, but we had to verify. Now we're able to ping using the meter, and within a matter of 10, 15 minutes, clear all those existing orders out. So that's a real big benefit, not having to roll the trucks during a storm. Again, some tips just to manage bills. I don't want to go through each and every one, but just let you know that these do exist, these resources for the residents. In addition, I could send you a video that kind of explains a lot of the things I'm explaining tonight. You can put that on your website for residents today that have any questions come June 1st. EnergySaveNJ.com. This puts residents in contact with appliance rebate recycling, home energy analyzer, HVAC rebates, whole home energy solutions, weatherization, and the online marketplace. Then the next one, firstenergycorp.com/save energy. It helps you reduce air leaks, utilize or recommends doing all these things. Reducing air leaks, using ceiling fans, controlling the radiant heat in a house, converting to all LED light bulbs, and then some other things as well. There's 100 ways for you to improve your electric bill on that. And assistance, again, on that website, the address I just gave, it directs residents who may need financial assistance paying their bills. That is all income driven. That chart is on the right there to show what the income levels are, and it has all those resources available. Some of them private sector, some of them state financed. And again, down the bottom there, jcpnl.com/assistance. So one thing with third-party administrators, we can't recommend that you use them. We can't recommend you don't use them. We can't recommend who to use either. It's a conflict of interest for us to do that. What I could tell you, and what I could stress to residents, please do your homework. Particularly now that there's an increase in the need for that, we're starting to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork who may or may not be legitimate. We want people to do their homework. All these resources are there on our website. We could direct you to that. The BPU has resources as well to direct people to go ahead and really look into what they're getting. A lot of times it's a bait and switch. They bring in on an introductory offer. They bring on long terms, just like buying any other, thing that anybody could scam you on. You want to be careful. The best advice I give to people is use a firm that you know somebody else that's using. If somebody else has that firm and they're satisfied using it and they've been using it a while, that's probably a firm that you may want to go with. So, again, I appreciate the time you gave me, but I'll take any questions that you have.
I have a question. Are you saying that everyone in Howell, all residences and commercial businesses received smart meters? Were we notified?
Yes.
So what if I don't want one?
So residential customers were given notice. They were mailed a notice, and then left a door hanger as well.
I did not get a door hanger that I was getting a smart meter.
Okay. Do you have a meter with a blue stripe on it now?
I'm going to go check.
Yeah, because it's my understanding
Yeah.
most of them have been
I
converted
did not
already.
hear good things about smart meters.
Okay.
I'm not happy about this. I was not notified that I was getting a smart meter.
So if you got one, you would have gotten those two notices as well as once it was installed, you would have gotten a door hanger that it was installed as well.
And you said this was in the last 6 months?
6 months to a year we've been in the area.
I'm going to
You have my contact information. You can
So we had
contact
no
me.
choice? This was,
No, you do have a choice. There is a choice that if you want to opt out, but the option is that you would have to pay $15 to have it read in person.
unbelievable.
So,
I also have to say, I find it offensive, and I'm not saying it's your fault. I know you're just a messenger, but the governor, the lovely governor we have, offensive, trying to tell us to keep our thermostats at 78 in a hot summer in Jersey, all these references, all these resources on how we can save. It's ridiculous. It's offensive.
Well, the thing I can tell you is I'm a customer too, and these are things that I've been doing for years.
No, and I'm not blaming you, Mr.
just
Bryce.
saying
You're the
that-
messenger.
But as the messenger, I don't preach what I don't practice. So I
Well,
just
we've
want you
been
to know that as
practicing
well.
these, we've had to because of inflation, because of, the economy. We've already been doing that, using ceiling fans, trying to keep, but 20% increases, it's a lot.
And again, I just want to let you know too, that this is not just JCP&L centric, this is affecting all the utilities, PSE&G, Atlantic Electric, and Rockland Electric in the state. And we continue to be 20% cheaper than the next closest competition for the other firms out there.
The only thing that I can say, and I would agree with Mrs. Fisher, it's not just electric. As you're well aware, this is just utilities across the board only add to the burden of residents and their taxes and Trenton's demands and whatnot that make it unfortunately very difficult for a lot of people, and not just a senior community, but anyone on fixed incomes. You know, you retire or whatever the reason, so you have a pension, you have Social Security, and we all know that doesn't keep up with things, but, you know, we did solar as well, so I have a solar payment, I have an electric payment. Solar maintains a certain amount every month, my electric just keeps going up and up and up. And I understand, you know, about trying to be effective in thermostats and, you know, 78 in the summertime at a bi-level, I could commit murder. I mean, you know, then it's 85 upstairs, because that's where the main living part of the home is. And I understand everything you just said and why the rates are up and, you know, the different levels of entities that are involved, but I wish JCP&L and the other entities could do something about just correcting, you know, the Rocky Horror Show going on. You know, I couple this with my propane, gas costs and whatnot, and I hate to say that we're going to be priced out for utilities that I consider creature comforts, so I don't consider this a luxury in my house to have electric and heat and cooling, but, I mean, really something, and I know nothing is going to happen soon, I'm well aware, but I just have to say this while I have an opportunity to say it while it's being televised. If something isn't done soon, there's not even anywhere to go. You can't leave Jersey and escape this because you're going to have electric wherever you go. But considering everything in its totality, I mean, even people in companies have to understand, and I'm sure they do, CEOs and whatnot, I'm sure that they're still receiving compensation that's commensurate with what's happening. But I know my pension isn't. So I can only think that companies, in a sense, really don't care. But I just have to say it, otherwise I won't be able to sleep tonight. I just think things are so poorly run that the expense continues to climb because infrastructure wasn't done, you know, probably in a momentum that it should have been done. I mean, I'm well aware of the substation you refer to and how many times I go by because I live closer. So I'm on that road probably 6 times a week. And the trucks that are in there fixing and fixing and fixing. And the joke now when I go by with my girlfriend is, well, they're going to try again to fix it. I mean, if it's either too old to fix, it has to be, you know, redone, and that's another, you know, another example of why we pay more. You know, something happens in California, you know, and then that cost is shared by the entire country, like everything else with insurances. Somebody's got to come up with a better answer than, you know, they're allowed, and I get it, you may be, you know, you get the charge and you're passing it along. Unfortunately, while everybody's passing it along, they're passing it through my dining room table where we're writing the check. So no matter how many pass-alongs happen for utility companies, it's still the same pocket that it comes from. And I'm sorry that you were the person that had to come tonight and explain this, because I'm sure that this is exactly what you hear every time. But we'll put this on our website. But when people call the manager's office, I hope he can revert them right back to someone in your office so that they can enjoy the same information that we're hearing frequently.
Well, again,
But thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's not the town's issue, it is our issue, so we do want them to put it back to us. And just a couple things with what you said. It is a national issue, like you said. This isn't unique to JCP&L, the First Energy footprint, the PJM footprint. This is a national issue with all the different grids out there.
Agreed.
I could tell you that, again, everyone in our company, you know, lives in the footprint or the footprint of one of the other utilities, so everybody is encountering this as well. So it's not something that the company is, you know, not tuned into. I was with leadership the other day, and they understand it. And our company does operate very lean. Like I said, we're operating 20% less than some of the other comparable utilities. So they are trying to keep that in mind for residents as well.
Thank you.
First, I want to thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And letting us beat up.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
So listen, you're getting what we get. I mean, we are the punching bag for everything that goes on in the town. And it was enlightening to hear about the animal intrusion thing that you're working on.
Squirrels.
So I'm going to go a little different direction. I mean, I taught advanced electronics for 20 years, so I understand the whole system in and out. I learned something, that you are not a generator of electricity anymore. You're just the supplier of electricity. So with that being said, that means that you probably have a very good snapshot of the demand for electricity and where it's going, and are we going to be able to keep up with it? So my question to you would be, as someone who is going to supply the electricity, and you see you need more power, do you have the options to go to other suppliers to keep up with the demand? It's something we talk about in class all the time.
Yeah.
And, we have the whole issue with the fossil fuels and the burning. We still know most electricity is created that way. But, we hear it all the time, and I've heard it a lot. We just had the wind thing that went south, and that wind thing was supposed to be very helpful to JCP&L because they were running out of power. So I would like to, I'm just asking, personally, I'm a nuclear fan. I'd love to see another nuclear plant in this, and especially the small ones that we have now. So do you have those options? Like, if things start to get dicey, can you pick up the phone and call some other supplier generating and have them sign on to your grid?
So let me answer a few of your questions. First of all, for JCP&L and First Energy, we prefer a diversified portfolio as far as what we're getting supplied with, whether that be wind, solar, nuclear, gas-fired, hydroelectric. Hydroelectric, if we could put more dams all over the place, I think that would probably be the best solution, but that's not my call. But what you're talking about, though, is a little bit above where I would be involved. But I could tell you, though, our company is in constant communication, and we have representatives with the PJM, and there's constant communications. It is no secret that the demand is outpacing the supply. That's a national issue again. The reason being, it's fueled on one side by the increase in electric demand fed by a little bit by electric vehicles, a lot by data centers and other things of the sort. They devour energy. And then on the other side, for the supply issue, you have a lot of coal and gas-fired plants going offline and outliving their useful life at this point. So that's kind of where this balance is not in balance right now, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, look, Evelyn was talking to with the price. Listen, it's a supply and demand. When the demand goes up and the supply starts to get thinner, price goes up. And that's kind of, I think, what we're seeing. So you could go back to whomever you say and say, we need to do something. Because, listen, I understand, as what I taught this, our whole grid is outdated, period. We need to start to get it going.
Yeah.
But-
So our leadership is aware of this, and I can tell you, too, in Trenton, I know a lot of the legislation right now, there is a lot of legislation out there, varying legislation on, but a lot of it is on the table right now out there to address this very issue.
Yeah, and thanks again for coming to
Well, I
listen.
appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah. Getty.
You? Well, listen, I'm gonna have to say a few things,
Yes, sir.
And none of this is directed towards you, Mr. Price.
Okay.
Okay? Sometimes I get a little excited, okay? The root cause of this whole thing in the country is deregulation anyway. As far as the plants shutting down and, the coal plants getting outdated or a nuclear plant. And I just think it was lack of leadership at the top, not JCP&L, these other plants and the big boys that control the numbers at the end of the day. And who's it come back on? This comes back on the regular people that have to pay the bills. So last year, you guys were 10, 11%. This year now, we're 20%. In what fairy tale land does something go up 30% in 2 years? Nobody's pay raise goes up. Nobody's, nothing. COLA, I don't care what job you have, except for the CEOs. You know, they get their 30, 40, 50%, I'm sure. So whatever. You know, it has nothing to do with you, Mr. Bryce, but yeah, I just find it highly offensive, you know, that this 20% is even on the table. And then we have the clowns in Trenton that want to base your income on what you should pay for utilities. I think that's just hysterical. You know, when those clowns are the ones that are millionaires, and then it doesn't matter what they have to pay for their electric bill, you know, then they want subsidies for everyone. Well, you know what then? The people that really can't afford it, then don't use it as much. You know what I mean? I have to cut back, she has to cut back, we all have to cut back. But then the people that don't want to cut back are the ones applying for, you know, for subsidies too. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is upside down. But since this is just little Howell Township here, and we, four of us vented a little bit, you know, I appreciate you coming here. And I want to thank you for getting on top of the light bulbs, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
That was huge. DPW have identified all the poles. And one other thing, Joe, I know we talked about this moving forward, some streets that have poles that we could possibly put new lanterns on.
So we have talked about that, so we'll continue that conversation, but
Yeah.
yeah, I will say this, we got the list to them, and the repairs have been very, very quick,
So that,
so,
just
yeah.
the other end of some streets, you know, because we have some changing areas and some intersections are really not lit up well. And if there is poles, we would like to, you know, if we could, Joe. You know,
Yeah, absolutely,
put-
we'll talk to them,
Put new
and
fixtures, you know what I
and
mean?
the,
So-
no pun intended, but the new lights are a bright spot in town, so thank you to Mr. Price.
Mr. Bryce, you said earlier you are, everything you're doing new is being converted over to LEDs?
So new, if the town requests it, we'll do LEDs. We're trying to encourage it because we're hoping that in a few years that's the only option out there. But we are encouraging it, and again, you know, there's been, I'll tell you right now, with other towns, there's people that love them and people that don't like them.
Oh, yeah,
It's
I
different.
understand.
Yeah,
That's bright.
it is different. So, again, you have a good engineer here, so I think he'll be able to understand some of the complexities involved with it. But when you look at it from a safety perspective, when you go into a neighborhood, I don't think anybody would ever commit a crime in a lot of these neighborhoods. And you certainly are going to see someone walking, riding a bike, but you also, it shines a lot of the houses up like they're in the football stadium. So
Yeah.
that's the downside.
Yeah. But listen, thanks for everything. You're welcome to come back anytime, too, to talk to us.
Anytime you want to hear us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mr.
your time.
All right, moving forward, open the floor to the public hearing, comments?
Each person shall first give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as individual members. Each person shall have one turn to address the council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no time extension shall be permitted.
Yes.
Hello, Council. Good evening.
Your name and address?
My name is Eugenia Grodsky. I reside at 37 Wilson Drive in Ramtown. And I'm asking for your assistance this evening, in particular regarding a safety concern that I have and possible code violations that I'm requesting be addressed. The particular issue is that a residence on our street at 41 Wilson Drive appears to be operating a business out of the home, which is an obvious appearance of a business. In particular, this property has a collection of commercial vehicles that range in number from, on any given day, could be 2 up to as more than 9 vehicles. The number of vehicles come and go, they vary, and they present the appearance of a fleet of business vehicles. Now, our residential street is being utilized as a parking lot for these vehicles. I have plenty of pictures depicting the appearance that these vehicles present, but I have 2 particular points I'd like to point out. I am aware of Parking Ordinance 7-3.7, which specifically states that no parking, no person shall park several vehicles, including a bus, school bus, and a recreational vehicle, otherwise known as an RV, in any residential area. So the commercial vehicles in question are large, oversized vans. They're work vans. And when they park back-to-back, nose to nose, they present the same obstruction and visual appearance as a bus or an RV. And they block the visibility from a residence backing out backing out of my driveway, looking up the street. I can't see what's coming down the street due to this obstruction. And the main point of evidence that I have for this is regarding the ordinance surrounding home offices. Now, we are zone R3, which is strictly residential. There are approved usages, one of which is a home office. There are a number of points about this that I want to point out. According to 188-64 in A1, it states that uses are limited in extent, degree, and time and do not detract from the residential character and quality of the neighborhood. A3 states that there is a need to protect residential areas from any adverse impacts associated with home occupations to protect residential property values. It is also to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of neighbors and other residents, making sure they're protected and their rights are not compromised in any manner whatsoever by the operation of the particular home occupation. And in B, there are other requirements such as, it states a home office use is an office activity. So the residence at 41 Wilson Drive has evidences that are clearly outside of the home, or else I would not be noticing them. For example, there are non-residents appearing at that address, viewing vehicles that appear to be for sale. These people, it has happened on more than one occasion. They arrive, they view vehicles, and they leave. There are auto parts being stored on the lawn that are used, giving the appearance of an automotive repair business. And the main thing is, one point of evidence I want to correspond is the person who's operating this business at 41 Wilson Drive also owned and operated the same business, a vehicle transport business at 31 Princeton Drive in Howell. Now, I've requested code violations for that property. I don't have them yet, but that business was listed by the Department of Transportation with that same business phone number that is in use at 41 Wilson Drive. I respectfully...
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Bernstein?
Mike Bernstein, 3 Colleen Court, Howell. I just wanted to piggyback on the gentleman that spoke from Jersey Central Power and Light. There are programs out there for the businesses in Howell that will help them immensely and save them a bunch of money that you might want to put on your website. It's what I do, but I'm not trying to sell my company, so I'm not even going to tell you the name of it. They can go to whoever they want to go to do this. But what it does is, I'll use this building as an example. Any commercial business, they can go to what's called a trade ally, and they do this through New Jersey Natural Gas, they do it through Jersey Central Power and Light, they do it through PSE&G, they do it through all of them. So like the rooftop units, the lighting, okay, the water heaters, everything, you can get very, very high efficiency stuff, like the ultimate stuff, but you don't pay as much as you would, and it lowers your bills immensely. Because to give you an example, I'll use the one, Howard Johnson's down Tom's River. It was $600-some odd thousand to replace all of the heating and cooling, the lighting, their water heaters. We did all of it. They, as the owners, they only had to pay 20% of the cost. They only had to pay $180,000. And they were given 5 years, 0% on their gas bills to pay that $180,000. So this is a program designed to save businesses money that you just may want to put out on a website. Let them know that that's something there, because obviously, yeah, the residential bills are going to go up, but the commercial bills are going to go, they're going to go even worse. And what they just did is they raised the amount of kilowatts that you're allowed to use and still be in the program. It used to be 200 kilowatts, now it's 300. So more can go into it, and they can save a lot more money. So it's all out there. He can back me up on it. I mean, it's a good program, and it can save our businesses a lot of money. So you may want to put that out there. It's called Small Business Direct Install, and it's available through New Jersey Natural Gas, and it's available through Jersey Central Power and Light. There are different versions. They go from up to 80% discounted off the cost down to 60%. There's also prescriptive plans, which will help you to do, to be able to be as efficient as possible. Because if we can get these businesses to use less power, there's more to go around. We all pay less. Like Mr. Gazer said, supply and demand. If we lower the demand, then we lower the price. So you may want to put that out there. Mr. Clark, if you want paperwork on it or stuff from it, I'll be more than happy to send it over to you.
Yes, send it over. We're actually using direct install on this building and throughout town, so it's a great program.
It is. It's for anybody that's not for profit or a commercial business. So churches too, things like that. Thanks, everybody.
Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Hello, council. My name is Jason Tillery. I also reside at 37 Wilson Drive in Ramtown. To piggyback off what Ms. Grassi was talking about, we're talking about Sprinter vans. And we're talking about a loophole. From what I see, the large Sprinter vans are oversized vehicles. They're not your regular work van. If it were one work van, understandable. A lot of guys are plumbers and what have you, and we can understand that. But we're talking about a fleet. We're talking about 3 on this side of the street, 3 on this side of the street, 2 in the driveway, coming and going, parts changing, and thus. Like I said, we're talking about a loophole because he doesn't present any contractor plates because there's no writing on the vehicles, no ladder racks on top. So technically, they're not contracted vehicles. And like I said, excuse me for being a little nervous, this is not my thing, but like I said, we're also talking about the integrity of the neighborhood. We're talking about a place where kids ride their bikes, run up and down the street with their skateboards, people walk their dogs, the same safe neighborhood I've been living in for 13 years. But now, it's turned into a parking lot. Now, I've repeatedly caught this guy on camera, recorded some things, him doing dealings with certain people who come by and look at VIN numbers and buy the vehicles. Says he's not running a business. We've contacted the code enforcement officer. He can't find anything legally that the guy is doing wrong. But again, there's a loophole. So we've been asked to come and try to change the ordinance. Like an ordinance was changed a few years back when landscaper trailers weren't allowed to park on the street. Okay, at one time they were, that ordinance was changed. The same with RVs. RVs, again, ordinance was changed. So what we're asking is, even though this guy may be following the law, he's found a loophole. And like I said, it's messing with the integrity, the neighborhood. I've spoken with other citizens and other homeowners and stuff. Nobody likes to look. It's unsafe. This guy, he moved in, just opened up a business with no regard to how anybody feels about their property, how anybody feels about the look of their neighborhood or the safety of their neighborhood. So Gina and I have done our own research. A lot of stuff can be found. Google's great. You can find anything on Google. We found the guy's business, where he used to live. I even looked on Google Maps and found his old home, and guess what? There's Sprinter vans in front. So it's obvious, even though it may not hold any legal precedence, but I'm asking you all to look into the ordinance and help us change it to keep our neighborhoods safe and our streets looking beautiful. I yield. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? I'm seeing none, so may I have a motion to close? Public comment?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Response to public comments, Mr. Howard?
So I'll address the Wilson Drive issues. I'll piggyback right off Mr. Tillery, and he's correct on most of it. There may be a loophole in the ordinance. What is happening is not necessarily illegal by any ordinance. I'm going to try and refrain from going into any specifics because there are current investigations going on. But we have ordinances that are protective of health and safety, and that's really what our ordinances, that's the goal of them. So if we're going to pass new ordinances, we have to make sure they're protective of health and safety. Something like our property maintenance code, we use the International Property Maintenance Code. So that is not something that Howell Township cooked up 20 years ago and haven't looked at. It's the International Property Maintenance Code. So to change and add to that would be a very high burden to prove that there's a health and safety issue that requires such update. There are other ordinances that have been mentioned that have been discussed, and certain types of vehicles that can or can't be banned from roadways. That's not my decision. I'll leave that to the lawyers and to the council. I've seen certain types of vehicles like Sprinter vans be used commercially and not commercially. So I'm not necessarily sure that you can take one and connect it directly with the other. Going with some of the comments, there's a lot of appearances of here. And keep in mind, code enforcement gets involved and we write a notice of violation, we have to be ready to back that up with a summons. If we're writing violations and we're not ready to back it up, then what are we doing? It's not going to work. So we have to be ready to back that up with a summons. That means we have to be prepared to go into municipal court, sit in front of the municipal judge, also convince the municipal prosecutor that what we have is a violation, and we have to point to the black and white lettering of the ordinance and say, here's what's in violation, and here's what we found, and here's why it's in violation. If we can't do that, then we can't bring it to court. We're going to lose our entire reputation with our prosecutor, with the municipal court, and the township as a whole. It's not an option. We have a lot of appearances. I agree. We have a lack of evidence in a lot of what's being discussed. We're going to continue to monitor the area, the situation, and if we gather enough evidence, then we're going to take the necessary steps. Nothing's being ignored. We've already expended several hours worth of code enforcement's time here. It's not being overlooked. It's not being ignored. The appearance of commercial fleets, the appearance of a business, it's not enough. We have to be able to get something more concrete than that. We just don't have that. The connection of any type of vehicle to a different type, like an RV, and saying, well, they're pretty much the same. It's not. If it's not listed in the ordinance, it's not the same, and it's not a violation. So when we list buses and RVs, it covers buses and RVs, not anything different. Home office ordinance, it is an ordinance we have that permits somebody to have a home office in a residential zone with a permit through the town, and there's a lot of conditions to make sure that the area, that the structure of the property stays residential. There's no signage, there's no signs of a business being run. It's really a tight ordinance that allows you and your computer to sit in, the extra bedroom and do some work. That's pretty much the limit of it. No employees, no sound, no extra deliveries, nothing like that. Not necessarily the case here, not to say it's not a case that can be made with the right evidence. We're still trying to gather evidence. We're investigating ongoing. We're not going to stop investigating until we hit brick walls, but we're talking to the police department. We're talking to various other groups that may be able to help us. And one other key point I do want to bring out in terms of an unsafe condition, just because it's being discussed quite a bit, the police department has been out. They have inspected. There is no unsafe condition. Vehicles are allowed to be parked in the roadway. I get it. certain number, certain type, it definitely draws more attention. It definitely detracts in certain ways, but again, without the evidence, these are not unsafely parked. Otherwise, the police department does have jurisdiction, and there are no violations in how or where they are parking. Otherwise, the police department would take action. So we're working on this code enforcement approach, this land use approach with zoning. It hasn't panned out, and we're going to continue to work on it as best we can.
Joe? No?
No, I concur. I mean, we'll take a look if we can change the ordinance, and we're going to keep investigating. And, I understand this is a common problem throughout town, and we will deal with it as best we can in this case. And with regard to Mr. Bernstein's comments, again, excellent comments. And we will get information out there for our local businesses about direct install, and we'll work with the chamber to get information out that way as well.
John? No? You good? Anyone up here?
Yeah, I want to say something. Thank you for coming today. We got pictures today. I haven't had a chance to look at all the pictures. So when somebody like this comes before us, it's sort of like 3 years ago when people were coming before us about the rentals in town. And then we had to look and say, well, with the ordinances we have, we can't do this, we can't do that, but we're going to start taking a look at things. And what we started to do was we started to chip away. And, we understand what goes on in the town. So we started to take ordinances and we started to tweak them to eliminate problems that we were seeing that people thought where we could just go bang on the door and see what was going on. So I can assure you that we're going to look at this, guaranteed. I don't want to have anybody come, and I don't want to hear this. I know what it would be like if it was one of our neighborhoods. Same thing. We'd feel the same way as you do. But, Matt is right. We need a preponderance of evidence. And, we get to the point where summonses might be issued, you might have to come to court. We go through this in town with dirt bikes and four-wheelers that the police can never catch, but the residents have videos of it, and technically, they're not going to give a summons unless they witnessed it. Same thing with our code violation people. Listen, they're out there. I can't even tell you how many summonses that they're out there writing. So I can guarantee all of us, we're going to discuss this, and we're going to find out exactly what there is that we can do about this. It's guaranteed. And there are experts, and they're very inventive. I can tell you that. They are. They do a great job. But thanks again for coming. I appreciate it.
So it's been a little while. I had a meeting when we touched on the rentals. I know Fred just happened to bring it up. So we're aware of the issue. It seems like it's still going on, making some progress, but just want to see what else we could do. So I asked Matt to just pull some numbers for me earlier. Were you able to get them, Matt?
Yep.
So what did we have last year for violation notices?
So overall violations through the end of April, we had 722 total. About, it looked like about 85 of them were directly for housing and rental-related issues. There was other housing, like failure to register with our certification, things like that. But actually, housing issues were 85 through last year.
And that was what, till April of?
End of April last year. So end of April this year, we're at 69 housing violations,
Okay.
416 total. Both are decreasing slightly. It's really probably a bit of a just, natural fluctuation. There's also one key factor. We've been hitting the annual rental inspections. So with that, those ordinances we passed, we are going into every single rental unit. We're spending quite a bit of time and effort getting into every rental unit, doing inspections. Our success rate in getting in is pretty high. There's going to be some stragglers, but I thought we might be 20, 30% lagging. We're not. We're within 5% of getting into each unit. But that has taken, just for example, housing inspections through the first 4 months last year, 337. This year, almost 1,200. So it's almost 300% higher. So that just shows the effort that's going in. A lot of these are compliant rentals, which is great. So it's not resulting in violations, but that's where a lot of the effort's going this year.
How are we doing on revocations, any of those?
So revocations, we still have about somewhere between 8 and a dozen that are pending in different stages. We're in court on several of those, waiting for some results.
All right. Well, again, we're still, hearing about issues just day to day. So I know it's tough. We are working on it. But again, if there's something that we could do on our end, some more ordinances, tweak some more stuff, and then I'll just piggyback onto regarding the parking. So I think maybe we're hearing the same issues with some of the rentals with parking, where traditional family with 2 parents and children are living in a house. Now it's multiple adults, not necessarily enough room on the private property to park. So that's something that I definitely want to take a look at as far as looking at our parking ordinances, making sure that it fits the character of our town, and that would include potentially, maybe sprinter vans, depending on the length, size, where it could be similar. And again, it's a very similar type of quality of life issue that doesn't fit into suburban way of life. So,
We could definitely get together and talk about parking at rental properties and see if there's some regulations, that would pass muster.
We're very creative with the ordinances when it comes to these things. The rentals are, and there are guides. So let me tell you, we throw things at them, and they'll say, "Oh no, you can't do that." But then they'll say, "We might be able to do that," but short of going and banging on somebody's door, which we can't do. But a lot of people don't understand that. But we get it, okay? We live here just like you do.
Mrs. Grotsky, I actually came out the other day and sat in front of that house for about 20 minutes. And I seen some of the things that you have brought up. And I actually came right back to Town Hall and spoke to Mr. Clark and Mr. Howard about it. And I can assure you that they're already on top of this entire thing. But legally, like he explained, we have to do it a certain way. I'm disgusted by it, just sitting over there and seeing what I saw as far as people being able to back out of their driveways. And I don't want to say I disagree with the cops that there's no violation, but there is a sightline issue. And like, say a kid crosses the street at 43 Wilson, in between you and 37, right? You ain't seeing that kid with those Sprinter vans sitting there. So, I have full confidence in our code enforcement and and our land use guys to do their due diligence here. And to piggyback off of what Mr. Gazer and Ian said, as far as if we have to address it with an ordinance, then we are going to address it with an ordinance. Legally, because we don't want to wind up in court and then we lose and then it's a wash. But there's definitely, without a doubt, what's the old saying, is, if it looks like a snake, it is, whatever. There's activity there. Pennsylvania plates, okay? I went back today. I think there was 8 vehicles there today. And 6 of them had Pennsylvania plates and 2 of them had New Jersey plates. And I seen 3 individuals working on the other side of the fence on one of them. So whatever, it's just, we hear you, and we're going to be addressing it, okay? Just to calm you down a little bit, all right, please?
There also is a fire hydrant right there at the corner of Vivian and Wilson. In all the pictures, there's a fire hydrant.
Gina, public comments closed. You can speak to the professionals after the meeting if you like. Thank
All
you.
right, so we'll pass that. If that's the case and they're blocking the fire hydrant, then obviously the police department or fire bureau could go over there. That's simple, but, And then just to address what, Mr. Gazer and Mr. Nadell said about the rentals, we have come a long way, since, 3 years ago. But I do believe that there's still a handful of landlords that are just bad actors. They come in, they get their rental certificate, they get their inspection, and the lease says 4 people or 6 people, and then boom, they get their first month, last month in their security, they're gone, and then this place turns from 6 people on the lease to 15 to 18 to 22, whatever. But we have addressed a lot of those issues throughout the areas that it's going on. And
I don't mean to cut you off. We have a lot more than just a handful. This is nowhere we're not putting the banner up, mission accomplished. We have a ton of work to do, and it's an ongoing battle.
No, I know.
These ordinances are definitely helping. There are definitely, I think there has been a change in the last 6 months in the positive. We have a ton of work to do.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah,
Mr. You know, like I said, there's just some bad actors there that they.
Frustrating.
You know, they come in, they apply for the rental certificate, it's under an LLC in Chicago, California, wherever it's at, and then they don't care. They want their rent money up front, they get it, and then if there's violations, oh, well, I got my first 3 months up front, and I'll deal with it if I have to. Then they blame the tenants, the tenant blames the landlord, I didn't know I couldn't do that, which was ridiculous, and then the landlord blames the tenant. Listen, it's a dirty game, it's all about money, and then it devalues certain neighborhoods and certain blocks, which isn't fair to the residents, okay? And it's going on in surrounding towns. It's sickening, to tell you the truth, and, you know, that's why we're tough here, the way we have written some of these ordinances and addressed these ordinances, and we are still moving forward with it and getting even tougher. So, you know, that's, like, we put these guys on notice. You want to come to Howell and do it, you're going to be put on notice with it, because it's just ridiculous. It's just, you know, and your neighbors know better. You know, if this is going on, he's running a business out of here under the shadow of not running a business, you know, it's ridiculous. Quality of life on your street shouldn't be affected. You've been here for, you know, I don't know how many years and, you know, total, but if it was on my block, I'd have a big problem, any of these guys, you know. So, you know, we hear you loud and clear, and I,
You're not part of an HOA there, though,
No.
are you? No. See, that would be helpful.
And one more, and just like Matt said, you know, we do have a lot of work to do with them. So, again, we need new ordinances, new things to enforce on these properties to make sure they're done. We're putting the landlords on notice. Like, you're not gonna come in here and deteriorate our quality of life. So, we're working hard and just gotta keep on going.
One good thing I could report on is we are getting to be a reputation for very difficult to deal with on the housing, and that's exactly what it should be, because we're tough, we're fair, but we're tough.
Yeah.
Just be a little, we just gotta be a little tougher next.
but unfortunately, Matt, we live in a sanctuary state, I guess they want to call it, and you know, the state blocks the townships from doing a lot of stuff too, in the name of, you know, fairness to everybody. So, you know, how about the first responders? You know, with a house that has 25 people in it, they only should have 6 or 7. Responders come at 3 o'clock in the morning, and now they're tripping over beds and mattresses and false walls. But don't worry about the responders. Their lives don't matter. It's just, you know, what matters is loading that house up so that, you know, these guys could have a place to live, and overwhelming our infrastructure, whether it's electric, natural gas, water, sewer, or school district, and then you still can't do nothing about that. Okay, it's a complete joke, all right? We have our foot on the gas here, and some people don't like that, and that's, you know, that's tough for them.
You really got us all fired up.
Because we're sick of hearing it, you know? All right.
It says Ian and I are former police officers, so, listen, I can't tell you how many days I miss having that summons book in my hand.
All right, we're good? Good, Mr.?
Before we go forward, if I might,
Go ahead.
Mr. Clark, can you, as part of your report, speak about Monday, Memorial Day, our program, where it's at, what time, and then, of course, the Farmingdale Parade will be immediately following.
Yeah, sure, of course. It'll be Monday at Soldier Memorial. We'll list the time for sure, but I think it's traditionally around 10 a.m., followed by,
11.
Well, it's 11.
was it
11
for 11?
usually.
So, okay. So 11 o'clock, and then it's followed by the Memorial Day Parade in Farmingdale, which is always a very well-attended event, so.
So we encourage everybody in Howell that can go, please do, obviously for the reasons, the intent of the holiday, but important to keep our children civic-minded in what this is really all about. So hopefully people come out with their families, and it's a good teaching experience. Our veterans take a great deal of pride in helping with the program, and Soldier Memorial Park is a most beautiful place to hold the event, so please come out. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
All right, on to consent agenda items. Next, we'll vote on consent agenda items. Does anyone wish to vote on any consent agenda, or, you know, separately, or pull? We
So may I have a motion to pull?
have a motion to pull.
Yes.
Oh, not me.
164.
R25-164.
I'll second that motion.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you.
So moving forward, now we will vote on resolutions R-25-155 through R-25-166D.
Excluding R25.
Excluding 164.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the above said resolutions.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
All right. And then may I have a motion to approve consent agenda consisting of resolution 25-155 through 25, oh no, wait, we just did that.
We're good.
We're on to
Ordinance.
ordinance,
167.
No.
167.
R25-167, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2025 budget, 2025 National Opioid Settlement Funds. R25-168, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2025 budget Click It or Ticket Grant. And R25-169, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2025 budget, 2025 Recycling Tonnage Grant.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolutions R25-167 through R25-169.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The resolutions pass.
All right, on to unfinished business, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. We will continue with unfinished business, public hearing / adoption of these ordinances. So we have O-25-14.
An ordinance of the Township of Howell supplementing Chapter 188, Article 10 Zone, supplementing and modifying Sections 188-79.1, Special Economic Development Zone -1, SED-1, to include active and passive recreation uses, including outdoor and indoor facilities as a permitted use. The public hearing on ordinance 25-14 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
I'm seeing none. May I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt 25-14?
I'll make a motion to, I'm sorry, did you have a question? Or?
Nope.
No. A motion to adopt ordinance 25-14.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
On to the next one?
Ordinance 25-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 7-14 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Howell to waive public parking lot permit fees for disabled veterans and Purple Heart recipients. The public hearing on ordinance 25-21 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
I'm seeing none. Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Motion to adopt 25
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 25-21.
Second.
Council.
Before we go, I just had a question, if you guys would know. For the disabled veterans, is it, have to be 100% disabled or any percentage?
I would have to check with Lou on that, but this is our parking lot permit fees, so I don't think that we set a limit on the amount of
Okay, right,
disability.
so as long as.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There just has to be a
I know,
demonstrable
I
disability.
know when people get discharged on disability from the military, they give it in scales, so. I just wanna
Yeah.
make sure it's including as many of them.
I think
who
it
serve
does.
the country. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted.
On to the next.
Introduction of ordinances O-25-22, capital ordinance providing for recreation improvements to Echo Lake and appropriating $800,000 therefore, authorized in and by the Township of Howell in the County of Monmouth.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2522?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2522.
Second?
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Reggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
Next.
O-25-23, capital ordinance providing for various recreation improvements to township parks and playgrounds and appropriating $550,000, therefore authorized in by the Township of Howell and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey.
Motion?
Motion to introduce ordinance 0-25-23.
Second.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
Next.
So I just wanted to Councilman Nadell's question. I double-checked the language in here, and then I double-checked the New Jersey statute to which it refers, and there doesn't appear to be a limitation on the amount of disability, so it's extraordinarily broad.
Thank you.
Ordinance 025-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 139-64 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell to bring municipal public defender application fees in line with state statute limits.
May I have a
Motion to introduce ordinance 25-24.
Second.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced. Ordinance 0-25-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 188, Land Use, Article 1, Title, Purpose, Definitions, Section 4, Definitions and Rules of General Applicability of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
Have a motion to introduce ordinance 2525?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 25-25.
I'll second.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced. Ordinance 25-26, an ordinance of the Township of Howell amending Chapter 188, Article 10, zones with modification to Sections 188-69, agricultural rural estate zones, ARE1, ARE3, ARE4, and ARE6. 188-70, residential 2, R2, and residential 3, R3. 188-71, residential 50, R50. 188-75, neighborhood commercial zone, and C. 188-77, highway development 1, HD-1. 188-78.83, highway development 4, HD4. And 188-79.1, special economic development zone -1, SED-1, to include emergency services as permitted use.
That saved us doing like 5 different
As-
ordinances, so thank you, Diane.
That was incredible.
May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-26?
I'll make a motion to introduce.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced. Ordinance 25-27, an ordinance amending Chapter 241, Retail Food Handling Establishments, Section 7, expiration of license, deadline for license renewal, and Chapter 139, fees, Article 15, health licenses and permits, Section 28, fees of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
Motion to introduce ordinance 25-27?
I'll move to introduce ordinance 25-27.
Second.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
The next regular scheduled council meeting will take place on June 3rd, 2025. The executive session begins at 6 PM, and the regular session will begin at 7 PM. So I am seeing no further business before the council. May I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.